who is in your Premier League 2020/21 team of the season? That's what I'm asking Jazz today. Jazz, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Enjoying the good weather out there.
I know. Proper English weather. Yeah, right. Absolutely fantastic out there. Loving it, that's for sure. But we're here for the team of the season today. Before we get into that, just sum up West Ham's season for us. It's not been bad, has it?
No, I think it's been up there perhaps as the best season in the top division since 85-86, I think. So it's certainly something that we didn't see coming. I mean, my targets were to finish 15th, really, at the beginning of the season, and we've smashed that target and got into Europa, which is a really nice prize for us because there was a feeling that we might finish 8th and kind of get unlucky. And then obviously because we didn't bring in too many players in January, we didn't quite get into the top 4. Otherwise, I think we would have. I mean, we finished only, 2 points behind and a bit of goal difference. So we brought in a proper striker when Antonio was away and those kind of things. And yeah, I think we would have crept in there. But never mind. Yeah, 7-6 was very good. Very, very good season. Very pleased.
Yeah, I agree. If we would have just that little things, because if we would have picked up 3 points against Arsenal, even for that we would have got Champions League football. If we would have, as you said, brought in a striker to cover who's actually an out-and-out striker, I think we would have got a Champions League. But it's the benefit of hindsight. But we've still got to be really happy with finishing 6th, and we're all going on a European tour if we're allowed next season.
Yeah, it'd be exciting when the draw is going to happen on August the 27th. I think that's when it will hit home what we've done, when we'll be in the hat with teams like Lazio, Marseille, obviously, who's the other team from Europa? Is it Leicester? Oh. Leicester's in Europa, isn't it, with us? Yeah, Leicester. So, and there's going to be a few more good teams from Spain in there as well, so it'll be exciting,
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Let's hope that, it doesn't completely wipe out and take out a team because, playing Thursday, Sunday, we've only just made our way through a season with the thin squad that we've got now. It's going to be difficult. We're going to have to bring in reinforcements. As we're filming this, Crowell hasn't signed, but it looks like that could be happening in the next couple of days. So that's signing one hopefully done before the Euros, and we need to make a few more if we're going to compete in both competitions next year.
Yeah, surprisingly good value. Sounds like 14 million, very fit player, and seems like he ticks all the David Moyes boxes. A very fit, up and down, strong team worker, knows the other lads in the squad. So yeah, get that, because I think the club are very keen to get it done before the Euros start. Yeah. And he'll probably be in there with Souček against Rice, I think, in the group games, with Coufal in there as well. And I believe he'll provide good cover for Rice and Souček, and also can play centre-back, I think, which is good. I don't know how old he is, but certainly 14 million. Yeah, sounds like a really good price. Can't really get too much with that these days, really. And then obviously the surprising news that the Everton manager has gone. He's run off to Real Madrid. Left a hole behind, and they're interested in Nuno, I think, and then hopefully David Moyes has already signed. It's just a matter of the news coming out next couple of days, I think. So yeah, like you said, the summer wheelings and dealings have started.
Yeah, I completely agree. But without further ado, we'll get into your team of the season. Just before we do, though, I'd like to thank our sponsors for this series, the Blowing Bubbles magazine. You can check out their link in the description down below, and if you use the discount code Jake Cox at checkout, you can get £5 off a 11 magazine subscription down below. And if you do use that discount code there, that would help the channel out as well. So Jazz, without further ado, goal. Who have you gone for?
So in goal, I've gone for Martinez of Aston Villa. As you know, all those wranglings over the Super League, and all of us are quite against it. So accidentally, and what I'm really pleased about when we see this team is I think around nearly half of them are from non-Super League teams, which I'm really proud of. So Martinez is one of them. He's not from that so-called Super League team, and I think that's really good. And I think he's had He's had one of those seasons that kind of Fabianski had under Pellegrini, if you remember. Hardly any mistakes. He's up there in the fantasy top goalkeeping, so you get bonuses and clean sheets and man of the match and saving the odd penalty. And just surprising how no one really knew who he was, and he was like kind of in the Arsenal reserve team. And they're a bit embarrassed, I think, by how well he's done. So good signing for Villa, like one of the many signings they made, and I think he's been really good. Yeah. So I thought I'd pick him. It's a, like you said, refreshingly new name that we didn't quite know who he was, and then he's done well with Villa. I think, yeah, really good season. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a bit of a gamble, £18 million when they bought him in, but it's definitely paid off. When they bought in these players to really boost themselves up. Ollie Watkins, Emi Martinez, fantastic players that they've bought in. That's your goalkeeper. We'll move into your back four then, and we'll start on the right hand side. Who have you gone for at right back?
Right back, I've gone for our very own Coufal. I think. Talking about money, I think he only came for about 5 million, which is amazing because that's normally what the agent fees come to when you sign someone. And he's 28. Wish he was 23. Can you imagine the value on him? But he's been so good that even pundits like Carragher have had him in their team of the season, which kind of says something because these pundits never care about the top six. So that he's kind of really highlighted how good he's been. I mean, obviously, Spurs bought that guy from Wolves, didn't they? Doherty or something. I forgot his name. Was a wing back. He didn't quite shine. He's certainly costing 3 times as much as Coufal. Yeah, I think he's happy in the back four. He's good as a wing back. Hardly missed a game. Good engine on him, and he kind of had good performances like Cat Grealish in his pocket. Nothing phases him. I think he's up for it. I think when we go into Europa and those tough away games, he'll be one that we can count on. Really, he's reliable. He's strong. Brilliant. I can't see a weakness in the guy. The only weakness is he gets a little bit nervous when he gets near the penalty area. He doesn't know what to do. But apart from that, I think he's good, and he's adding assists. And someone was telling me this morning that both our fullbacks have had the most assists really out of any club. If you add Craswell and what Coufal have done, so great signing again by the manager, and so he's the one for me really. I think apart from that, I was looking at Wan-Bissaka and people like that, but I'm happy with him. Yeah, I think he's done well, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all us West Ham fans are happy to put him in the side. That is for sure. Fantastic player. We'll move into your centre-back pairing then. Who's the first of your 2 centre-backs?
It's Dias of Manchester City, I think, he's probably up there as a player of the year, I think. He cost a lot of money, 65 million, was it, from Benfica? Again, kind of tells you, I mean, so many players come from Portugal, isn't it? From the youth system. I have a good friend who's a Sporting Lisbon, and he tells me about all the players they've got. Obviously, Bruno came from there, and we used to have other players like Slimani, Ronaldo. So they produce a lot of players, and Dias is from kind of Lisbon, and he's settled in really well, isn't he? We know Pep likes to tinker his team, but Dias has been one of them who's kept his place for every game, and I think Stone's done quite well with him as well when he's chosen to play the pairing. But yeah, pretty easy one for me, Dias. I think it's pretty obvious. So yeah, Dias is going to be the centre back for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say 95% of people have picked him in their side. That is for sure. Fantastic season for him. But who is gonna accompany? Not company, but who's gonna accompany? That was a very non-deliberate joke there. Who is going to go alongside Lewis Dunk then? Oh God, I just gave it away. There we go.
Yeah, it's going to be Dunk. Yeah, it's going to be Dunk. So yeah, I think again, I like to promote the non-Super League players, and I think he's one again. We can tell about an hour ago he's been overlooked by the England squad as well. I think he's a solid player. He's been in the Premier League for a number of years. He's reliable. Again, if people have had him in the fancy, they know that he scores the odd goal. He's quite a big lad, quite commandable. Again, I think he just quietly does his job, and he's overlooked because he doesn't play for any of the big teams. So I think I'll put him in there. I mean, if Ogbonna didn't get injured, Ogbonna would have been quite close to getting in my team. I think he's had a great season. He was my hammer of the year sort of choice last season. So yeah, I've gone for Dunk. Yeah. I like picking players who are not from a big club, so I think he'll do okay. I think,
Yeah, Yeah, kind of a no-nonsense, really, really good player, and he's the rock of Brighton's defence, and they really, really miss him when he's not there. Even though they've had good players come through, like Ben White, who was in the provisional squad, didn't quite make it in to the 26-man squad for the Euros, but they've got some really, really good defenders there. But he is the rock. But who's gonna finish? Who's gonna finish off this back four? Then who've you gone for at left back?
I've gone for Shaw. I think he's one of those players that came for a lot of money under a lot of pressure when they signed him from Southampton, I think. And he kind of got lost, got injured, put on some weight. And Mourinho gave him a hard time. And he's come back strong. And I like that. And he's very aggressive. He's up and down that channel. He can certainly defend, puts his foot in, and he can also create as well. He's got the odd goal. So I think it's Shaw. Yeah, I like his all-action approach. It's a bit like Coufal. And again, like you said, forgotten by some people, and he's come back and he's a regular now. Yeah, I think he's had a good season, really. Yeah, so I like Shaw. Yeah, I think he's done all right. I think he's had a good season. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely proved a few doubters wrong. I think after being wrote off by a lot of pundits and fans, come back this season and done really, really well. That's a very decent back four. Then let's move into the midfield. The first of your two central midfielders, then.
Rice is the obvious one, isn't it? As a defensive centre mid, I think Rice hasn't put a foot wrong. I think we're quite spoilt now. We're quite used to seeing 8 out of 10 for every game. That's why he's sometimes not man of the match, because we just expect him to do 8 out of 10 minimum. Still very young, mustn't forget that. And he's even the main player in the England team now in that position. I don't think anyone's going to take that away from him. And he can only go upwards, mate. And he's obviously captain and relishing that as well. So I think Rice, just gets better and better. And there's not many other defensive centre mids that I like to put ahead of him. I think you got a couple, but they're all aging. You got Hernandez, you got Fernandinho, and got Kante. But certainly with his energy and one for the future, it's Rice. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with a bit of Declan Rice. I'd imagine that he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet for Gareth Southgate in the Euros for most games in the summer. The sky is the limit for him, and the midfield we could have in major competitions, as I keep saying on these shows. Declan Rice, Mason Mount, and Phil Foden. The sky is the limit for all of these players. Another fantastic season for him. Shame he got injured at the end, but another fantastic season for Declan Rice. Who's going to go next to, or maybe play a bit more higher up then, alongside Declan Rice then? Who's your second central midfielder?
Yeah, you can't overlook Bruno. I mean, some people don't like him, but I think you can't overlook the stats in terms of creativity and assists. He's up there, as one of the best, and I like him. I think he's a bit feisty as well. He likes to get his foot stuck in there. Yeah. So long in that centre mid, I think you're not just going to get sort of an assist and goals. I think he's got the ability to help Rice out as well when defending, and obviously, like you said, he's a reasonable good penalty taker. He takes all the corners, all the free kicks. So you can't really do without a player like that. So I think Bruno would be the one. I think he's had a good season, and he'll probably carry on being an important player. And I'm sure he'll be important for Portugal, who are going to be one of the favourites, I think, at Euros. Yeah. Got a very strong team. So you've got Dias in there, got kind of Fernandes, so a couple of Portuguese people in there, really. So yeah, Bruno I'm going to go for.
Yeah, you can't look past him. Him and Cavani and these players have really good link-up play in the second part of the season. And people say a penalty merchant, but it's a really, really hard thing to take a penalty, because if you miss it, you're going to get stick. If you miss it, like we've seen with Lookman and Aguero this season, try the Panenka and it goes horribly wrong, you get even more stick for it. It's a really hard thing to do, to take a penalty. And, he seems to score pretty much 9 out of 10 that he gets.
I think the other thing is he's played all season. I mean, when you look at Mount, you look at Foden, you look at Gundogan, they haven't played all season. They've done well in about half the season. So they come in and out of the team. But for certainly Fernandes, he's been in, week out, really. So that's another reason for me, really, not picking a Man City player as an example, because they tinker their team so much, which came back to kind of mess them up, didn't it, at the weekend? Pep just silly decisions. I don't know what's up with that guy. I mean, I remember when they played Spurs in that season. Spurs got to the final in kind of Champions League. He he played a really weak team in that first leg and they lost. I don't know why he does it. I don't know if he thinks he's extra smart. I mean, if you look at it, he played with no strikers, no holding players. And I'm like, come on, mate, you got to respect Chelsea a bit more. And he's just his own worst enemy, isn't he, really? Yeah.
I know. He just doesn't seem to turn up with the right 11 in these big games. Very, very, very strange. When I looked at it, I thought, Craig, he's really going for it. But then I looked at it again and I thought, who's going to be a central defensive midfielder? I expected there to be no striker in there because he likes to play with that false 9. But I thought, Gundogan, he usually pushes up the field.
Yeah.
I know. But to be fair, that's what Pep does. But I was thinking, Gundogan, he likes playing up the pitch more. He scored 17 goals this season. Play him in his correct position. I don't know. I don't quite know what's happening. And I think Man City fans were very disappointed with that. But, they can complain about it, but they've won 2 trophies this season. They've won the Premier League and they have won the Carabao Cup, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, there we go. That's your 2 central midfielders done. We'll move on to the flanks then, out to the wide areas. We'll start on the left-hand side. Who've you gone for in left midfield then?
I think these wingers can interchange at both sides. I've gone for like Grealish. I've gone for Grealish to play on that side, on the left side. I got a lot of time for him. He's one of my favourite players. I kind of wish we'd signed him 2-3 years ago. Doesn't lose the ball. He's so important to Aston Villa, as we've seen. They've gone all the way down the table since he's got injured. He's got such confidence. So when it's tight, he always wants the ball, a bit like Lingard. He never hides. You give him the position, give him the ball in a really tight corner with 2 on him. You won't lose the ball. He'll come out of it. And I think he can offer a lot. I mean, I think it's a big thing. I mean, it'd be good for England. Hopefully get a chance to kind of start. Grealish is for me, even though he missed a few games for injury and he's come back. It's got to be Grealish. I'm so impressed with him when I see him. Really, really good player.
Yeah, I think more people will come round to your way of looking if he just got rid of his diving in his play. People just looking at it, I think, oh, for God's sake, just get up, just don't do that. But he's still got raw talent there, and he's in the Euro squad as we've seen today. But yeah, very, very good player, and he's so crucial. Like Lewis Dunk is, these I'm not going to say smaller clubs, but these mid-table clubs, they've got their one man, and when they take the bones, the heart out of that, then they're in trouble. And for Brighton, that's Lewis Dunk. For Aston Villa, that's Jack Grealish. Very, very important player.
And also, for me, I think Rashford and Sterling have had pretty average seasons because they could have been in that position ahead of him. But I mean, I'm worried about them to be included for England. I think even at the final on the weekend, Sterling was terrible. His finishing is woeful. Rashford just goes missing. He was pretty average in the final as well. So I'm just hoping that for England, I mean, that's why I feel sorry for people like Watkins. I thought he had a great season. Lingard, they should have been in that squad. I know they're on standby, but you've got to pick players in form. And I'm worried about Rashford and Sterling on the big stage. I don't know what's happened to Sterling, mate. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me anymore. Yeah.
Very, very strange. Pickings from Gareth Southgate. 4 right backs in there, picking Sterling and Rashford, who's have average seasons. I think people are saying he's a yes man. They worked in 2018, but this isn't 2018. This is 2021, and I just feel we need to pick players off form. Jesse Lingard should have been in there. Ollie Watkins should have been in there. Just adding that extra element, especially with Ollie Watkins, that aerial presence as well. But they're on standby. They might come in. I think that we are obviously filming this on the night of the team coming out, but I just think they're saying that they're going to be played in the 2 warm-up games that we've got over the next few days. But what's the point in that? Because after those 2 warm-up games, they're going to be gone.
Well, I hope he doesn't get injured. Yeah, Lingard.
Yeah.
If he comes back to us,
Well, if he does, that's all up in the air. But we'll move to the right-hand side then. And as you said, these 2 can be interchangeable on either side. But who's initially going to start on the right-hand side then for you?
I think it's going to be Salah. It seems like he's not quite had a good season, but when you look at the stats, the goals, assists, he's up there. So even when sometimes he hasn't looked happy, looks like he wants to leave. The relationship between him and Mane is 50-50. Just not looked happy on the field, but you just can't ignore him, can you? I mean, he can play up front, he can play on the wing. So I thought I'd put him on the wing. He's got a lot of pace. He can cut inside. got a great finish on him. Can set things up. So yeah, Salah, you can't ignore him. He's one of the good players in the league, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I was looking back at the season. I thought he hasn't
No.
actually had he hasn't had a fantastic season, but you still look, he scored 22 goals. You can't put him in there off that because fantastic goal scorer, that's for sure. But that's your midfield and defence done then. We will finish off with your two strikers then. Who's the first of your two strikers?
The first one is Harry Kane. So you can't really look ahead of him really in the league. Again, finished kind of top of the charts. He's not captain, but he kind of acts like a captain at Spurs, isn't he? I think the goalkeeper's a captain, but Kane's pretty solid, isn't he? Again, a few injuries, a few niggles, but he's come out of it with good stats, I think. I think his problem is, I'm sure he plays a lot of the games and he's injured. He comes back far too quickly. And that's why I'm a bit annoyed with Spurs, because by the time Spurs have used him for 50 games and there's a international tournament, he's not right. He's injured. So I'm hoping he gets a bit of rest and he kind of looks fresh for England. But yeah, I think Spurs are running into the ground. I mean, he's 28, so whoever signs him and the amount of money they want, I've got this feeling that the medical is not going to go smoothly as some people think. I think, someone signs him for 100 odd million, he's 28, he's got ankle injuries every season. You don't know what's going to come out of it, because I think Spurs have overplayed him without actually really selecting someone who could give him a rest. He plays injured all the time, I think.
Yeah. His ankles are a real problem. And yeah, you raise a good point there. Whether he'll get a medical at Man City, and they must think, we're spending £100 million on this player. He's going to get some more ankle injuries. Is it really worth it? We don't know. It's going to be an interesting window, but you can't look past 23 goals for him, just beating Salah for the Golden Boot award. So you've got a lot of goals in this side. But who's going to round off then? Who's going to partner Harry Kane in the second striker role?
Yeah, I think Son, isn't it? I thought it just made sense. I mean, them two, especially at the beginning of the season, were like, one was scoring, the other one was setting him up, and then were kind of interchanging their roles. So, yeah, I think they get along really well. And Son, he's one of those players. He's rapid, he's strong, he's got one of the best shots in the game. You can't give him an inch, and he's got this shotgun kind of shot on him, which is so accurate, full of pace, and similar like Kane, gets on target. So it's got to be Son, I think, and it'd be interesting to see what happens to him if it looks like Kane's going to go, because I think he's up there as one of the good players in Europe, I think. I remember that game against Burnley last season where he had broken his arm, but he didn't know. And then what he did towards the end of the game, he took it past 5 people, ran from the halfway line, slotted the ball home, and that was with a broken arm. So the guy is just so strong as well. And even when Kane is away, he's kind of covered for him reasonably well up front. He can play that role, and he's a bit of he can move around positions. I think he can play a little bit behind the main man as well, and I think they've used him on the wing a couple of times, and he's cut in and done well. It's got to be Son for me. Obviously, I thought about people like Bamford and Watkins and those kind of people, but for me, I think Kane and Son had a good season. It's just I think it's just that apart from those two players, Spurs don't really have much. That's why they finished so low in the table. Because when you've got two players like in a lot of people's teams of the season and they've not really done anything, it's. I think that perhaps shows the frustration of players like Kane and Son, that really, when they look around, they're not that much there for Spurs. Got a dodgy goalkeeper, back four is dodgy. They need to improve on that, I think. So yeah, Kane and Son for me.
Fair, fantastic players there that can get you goals. I mean, especially you've got Fernandes on the penalties. You've got Son, Kane, Salah. There's players there that can score you goals, that's for sure. But who's your manager of the season? And of course, you probably know who it's going to be watching at home. But Jazz, who is your manager of the season?
Yeah, it's David, isn't he? I'm a big fan of David Moyes, and I've taken a secret pleasure out of this season, extra pleasure, really, the amount of stick that he got when he joined for no reason. And I'm glad he silenced those people now. And most fans are kind of on board now. And he's done a great season. He hasn't had as much money as some of the teams around him. I mean, you look at Leicester, they're a great team, but the amount of money that they get, and then also they sell a lot of players for a lot of money. Maguire, 80, 90 million. Chilwell, 50, 60. All that money helps when they buy. We don't have any of that luxury. And it's not easy working under our sort of Mr. Sullivan, as you know. We don't have an infrastructure like Leicester. We don't have a hardly good training ground. We don't own our own ground. We don't have a scouting system, which infuriates David Moyes. He's got so many obstacles in his way, and despite that, and despite only having, one or two windows, he's only been the manager a year and a bit. The amount of change that he's done, how fit he's got the players, the recruitment, everyone who's come in has done a great job for West Ham, and he's put Lingard in and kept the motivation there. You can see how much Rice thinks of him. Loves playing for David Moyes. He's a good backroom team as well. Everything brilliant. So it's got to be David for me, I think. Done a remarkable job to finish only 2 points off the Champions League with our squad, which is the smallest, isn't it, in the league, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. So many obstacles are standing in his way, and for him to do what he's done, he won't get Manager of the Year because it will probably go to Pep Guardiola or someone through the official one. But he's, from us West Ham fans and from, I think, other neutral fans, most of them will say this man has made a rebuild of all rebuilds absolutely fantastic. But let's review Jazz's team then. So in goal, Martinez, a back four of Shaw, Diaz, Dunk, and that man Vladimir Coufal. Grealish out on the left, Declan Rice in there, and accompanied by Bruno Fernandes, and then Salah out on the right, and then Kane and Son up front with a mix of goals, pace, penalty taking, solid defending. There is everything there.
That is good, isn't it? I'm impressed with myself. That's a good team. And even like the fullbacks like Shaw and Coufal, they're like bombing up and down, don't they, down the wings, and you got Salah and Grealish in front of them, and I'm happy with that. I think they'll do a good job, that team. I think it's a fairly solid team, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Completely agree. Jazz, thank you very much for coming on. Any last words?
No, I said to everyone, just switch off if you can, relax, unwind. Don't try to think about football too much, because it's been a lot of it, hasn't it, back to back, especially sort of people like you on the channels. So just switch off, chill out, don't think about football, and just see what happens in the transfer windows out of our hands. Let the chairman do his work, and then come back fully refreshed for the new season. I've renewed my season tickets. I'll be there, and hopefully see some of you guys there. It's been a while, and let's have another good season, really, and just keep the positivity up. No need to be unhappy about anything, or just let the cause. Let's see what happens, and don't judge anything until the window's closed. You're going to see a lot of rubbish reports in the media. Don't listen to them. It's going to be 90% rubbish. So just wait until the window closes, and then let's support the team, and let's go again, isn't it?
Yeah, I completely agree. There we go. Thank you very much for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new around here. Thank you very much to you, Jazz, for coming on. And from me, come on, you irons, and we will be back very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.